I'm Kyle,
I'm Aaron.
and this is the Road Less Traveled. With this series, we are planning on showing cards that are more rare than the T206 Hannes Wagner. Aaron and I have connected over the past month and a half, and have really uh, realized that we have similar collecting interests. We both like the rare stuff. When I pitched this idea to Aaron, I think you said something like you really love the idea of comparing it to the Hannes Wagner.
Yeah, I think having that as the root, that's such an iconic card. To me it's far and away the ultimate. That's the grail of grails. So
Yep, agreed. Um, so before I get into the details on the Hannes Wagner and how we're comparing it, there are some disclaimers here. We cannot account for crossovers. If you submit a card to SGC, crack it, submit it to PSA, it's going to count in the pop report twice, once for SGC, once for PSA. So we can't account for that. And then the exact number of cards with everything we show, including the T206 Hannes Wagner, is completely unknown. Stuff can be discovered every day, but we're going to do our best to stay accurate and talk about the known populations. So, and some of the estimated to be known populations, mainly the Hannes Wagner. So, for the Hannes Wagner, everyone knows the T206, the infamous, or I shouldn't say infamous, but famous story about the T206 Hannes Wagner. Hannes didn't want his name to be associated with tobacco products, especially those that were marketed to kids. So he asked for his card to be pulled from production for the T206 set. It's a few were printed. As of today, there are currently 37 graded by PSA, 18 graded by SGC, one graded by Beckett, for a total of 56 accounted for. If you type into Google, AI tells you there's around 60. So our goal is to show cards that are 60 or under for population. So how does that sound, Aaron?
that's perfection. I'm excited to have some guests on too. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to. We're kind of using episode one as a lay the foundation, lay some ground rules, and bring in some guests because you really find a lot of folks are like minded, and it's a lot of fun to connect and hobby together.
Agreed. And seeing cards that you don't see every day is really the root of this. And there's stuff that when we have guests on, they're going to show stuff you and I probably haven't seen or haven't seen very much of. So I agree. I'm definitely excited for the guests. Yeah, this is definitely a trial and error first episode, and kind of give the basis, and we'll go from there. So, so let's after that, let's start showing some cards. What You and I each have two cards to show. So how we're gonna frame this is we each have a player that we've chosen for this episode. With that player, we've taken two cards from our collections. One that is the more common card, more mainstream, and one that is the rare card. We're going to compare pop, talk about the different sets. So, Aaron, what did you bring tonight?
So, episode one, I'm already breaking the rules.
Okay.
I'm just going to lay that out there. So I think that's a good precedence to start. Is it's a loose, it's made to be fun. I thought I would go with Mordecai Brown. So I don't know. Should I dive a little bit into the player and why he's extra cool for me?
Yeah.
So he's an Indiana-born guy, which is already kind of cool. I already give him a couple bonus points for that. As a Cub, he was 10 of his 14 years spent in Chicago. He had the third highest WAR of pitchers. Second lowest ERA, which I think is really interesting because he has the third lowest MLB ERA. But what I found is they started kind of labeling even pre 1900. So there's, I think he had like a 1.8 ERA and somebody had a 1.75, but it was Al Spalding. So, I mean, that's legit. Second most wins, first in shutouts. I don't think anyone will ever pass him in shutouts because he had 40 plus shutouts. So that's a forever stat. His career ERA for all 14 years was 2.06, 239 and 130. So, I mean, just really cool things. Other than I haven't even gotten to the fact of his hand just being such a cool feature and something to overcome, and two injuries and all that. But 1909. yeah, he's three finger brown. It's not a clever nickname. It's not like shoeless where he actually had shoes.
Right.
It's legit. He had three fingers. How about this for cool though? 1909, he led the league in wins, complete games, and saves. That won't happen again.
Nope.
So, just cool stuff. Should I dive into set one?
Yeah. Do the common set first.
Yeah. So this is where I already cheated. The
Okay.
reason I did this is I thought the most common when somebody thinks of Mordecai Brown, they would think of T206. And I know the minute I did this, somebody would say, well, yeah, but he has more than one card in the set. So yes, he does. He has those two. This is the Cubs on shirt. This is his portrait. And then he also has a Chicago on shirt. So all three of those are legit normal issues. I'm also cheating because you did a fantastic job talking about all the different companies that would grade. The way they report T206 being such an epic set with 16 different backs, you get very tough to track down accurate populations. So I stuck with just PSA just to illustrate how common this is. So PSA kind of combines all the different backs into one grouping. The Cubs on shirt has 719 graded. The portrait has 750. A lot of folks gravitate towards that. That's usually the most expensive. And the Chicago on shirt has 1,078 graded, just with PSA. So in our world now, that's dime a dozen. That's junk tobacco card at that point. That's well produced.
Yep. I mean, you're talking if our goal is 60 or less, that means 10 times that is 600. So anything over that is 10x, which is, I mean, might as well be a 1989 Ken Griffey.
Right. Yeah. This is 87 Donruss we're looking at this point. So.
Yep.
But yeah. I know the set you're going with, and I thought we should start with the most epic sets to compare to. So I think that's good for perspective, maybe.
I would agree with that. And I'll start off with mine. So I chose Earl Averill as my player tonight. Earl is one of the best Cleveland Indians of all time. He's the Hall of Fame center fielder from Cleveland, debuted in 1929 for the Indians, whom he played for until 1939. Mid-1939, he was sent to the Tigers, played there for a year and a half through 1940, and then in 1941, he retired with the Boston Braves. He's a six-time All-Star and currently leads the Cleveland franchise in total bases, RBIs, runs, and triples, although soon Jose Ramirez, my GOAT, will break all of those records, I believe, and Earl will be second in all of those. So the common card that I chose for Earl, which is probably, I would imagine, his most mainstream card, is the that's bad. The 1933 Earl Averill. 1933 Goudey Earl Averill. This is probably easily the most common 1930s set, and probably top three most popular pre-war, or certainly pre-war set, maybe even vintage set of all time. The numbers kind of back that up. The total set population for the Goudeys, and as Aaron alluded to, I did break it down more by company. CGC has graded 1,462 Goudeys. Beckett has graded 5,356 Gaudis. SGC 47,466 Gaudis, and then PSA has graded 112,504 Gaudis, for a total Gaudi population of 166,788. Earl Averill, his population with among those 6 by CGC, 34 by Beckett, 291 by SGC, and 607 by PSA. So 938 total 1933 Gaudis graded in circulation. So and that doesn't even include this one, which is raw.
Yes.
So there's 939 known examples out there, at the very least, of Earl Averill for 1933 Gaudi. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's, as Aaron said, we're both starting off with probably the two of the most popular pre-war sets of all time, if not the two most popular pre-war sets of all time, which is really good for setting the foundation for what this series is going to be about. So now, do you want to get into what your scarce card is, or rare card is?
I will, and we were talking about this of how tough it is. You really almost can't separate a rare set from a rare card, because it gets into the skew of, like, I have this guy that only has 10 graded, but there's 400 Ruths graded. Well, there's probably 400 of that guy, but no one's sending in bench player Billy. That's just not how it works.
Right.
So I kind of went on that same theme and vibe, and I pulled the M101 -4/5 Sporting News or not Sporting News kind of set. So they're Felix Mendelssohn images, and then they've got up to, this actually surprised me, honestly. It's more than the T206. T206 has 16 back variations. The M101 4s and 5s, there's 22 variations. So I wasn't even aware that it was quite that crazy. They break it down by percentages. So they say there's about 40% of them are blank backs. What else? Herpelsheimer, which seems like it's a ghost, is 4.5% of what's out there.
Wow. I really want a Herpelsheimer, simply because of the Polar Express and that nerdy kid in the yellow sweater.
Herpelscheimers!
Yeah. I'm thrilled. I've got 2. That might be all I'm able to ever have, but 2 is a win.
Yep.
Sporting News backs is 17%. So those are actually quite a bit more rare than even the traditional. But some of these come into like 0.6%. There's a couple with asterisks. Like, I don't think they even know what's out there. It might be close to 0. So it might be a card known.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way these were distributed was they printed a lot of them with blank backs and then sent them out to companies to put their own marketing stamp on the back, essentially, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, and I was trying to think of the best way to approach this, because I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I was trying to figure out how to, like, present it within our framework. So the M101-4, which is a majority are going to be blank backs, I believe, if not all. PSA is graded 24 Mordecai Browns, and SGC is graded 11. So even if you had that, which is the most common, variation, there's only 35 graded by the big 2. What I'm going to share, and again, I'm breaking rules, one of the somewhat unique backs, so this represents 12% of the population. There is a Famous and Barr back.
Yep.
Is
that St. Louis?
Let me see. St. Louis, foremost boys clothes store.
Yep.
So yeah, it really is. It's neat. I mean, you send it out blank and you tell them whatever you want to put on the back is what we're going to have printed on the back, and they hand them out, and a few survive. But when you look through the populations, there's not a huge variation. It looks like a pretty good chunk of these have been sent in, because when you look at the Grover Alexanders and the Ty Cobbs and whoever else is in the set, they're all pretty close to the other big names. So there's not a huge skew. So with this, I mean, 8 PSA, 6 SGCs. So that's what a PSA looks like. So there's 14 graded by the big two, and oddly enough, I actually have 2 of the 14. I thought I'd just kick us off with, kind of and they're both famous in bars. So, and they're both 4.5s. They're the only 2 4.5s that exist. So I don't know how we want to count rare, or scarce, or weird, or whatever else, but that's what I did.
That
So
is awesome. I
those were fun.
That era of cards, there wasn't a whole lot that was mass produced back then for that probably 5-6 year period from after the T207s in 1912. It really went kind of oddball after that. And I
Cracker Black.
love those sets, the M101s, all the variations, all different backs. Now, are you planning on targeting any other M101 4 and 5 Mordecai's at some point?
Well, I mean, as they come up, they're tough to find. There's been a couple out there. I do find a lot of times because they're tougher to comp and they're scarce enough. Folks sometimes will ask quite a bit of a premium that probably goes beyond what's even fair or reasonable. So sometimes I've watched them and I've been surprised how strong they can go. But
yeah.
If they're out there, I'll take them. There's definitely a lot of players in that set that I collect. I mean, Ruth's off the table, but there's, Sisler and Brown, and maybe a Cobb one day would be awful nice.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a Ruth on the 54 right now?
There's one on, I know Ash has one on Facebook. I saw it.
Okay. It might actually be Ash. Let me see here. Hold on. Doing a live live research.
Hey.
Let's see. M1. Where's the Ruth? There it is. Yeah, it's a wheel baking. Which I don't. That does not. Sorry, never mind. That doesn't count as a M101. That's in the D329 because it's a food or baking set, I believe. I think that's a designation there.
Well, I mean, there's technically if it's a 1916 issue, wheel baking is one of the backs.
So they must. That's interesting because this is designated on the PSA flip as D329.
Really?
Let me.
Does it look just like his M101s though?
Oh yeah, exactly. It's spot on. So I don't. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to look into where that line of demarcation is for the D series and then the M series. Because it is the M101 style issue.
Well, and the way these are, so I guess that's probably fair. And I don't know what the designation of the set is, but if you do look at the flip, if I can get it close enough, they just call this a famous in bar.
Interesting.
So it's not considered an M101 variation. So maybe I cheated by explaining it that way, but that's almost like that's the overall scheme of things, and then they must designate them all by the back, which is interesting.
Yeah, and if you go by the front as the primary basis for the population, and then break it down by the back, that's where you're getting your pop from, and that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah. Well, if anybody's interested in the Babe Ruth, it's on F54. Apparently, Aaron's out, and I'm certainly out on it. So
If I sold everything, including my house, I might be able to get into it. But that would be it would take a bit.
Yeah, I don't think my kids are worth that much. So am I good to go?
Yeah, you're good to break in, and let's see what you found for scarce.
So I went with the 1933 Warch cigar, the American Association set. It's from 1933. They did produce these in 1932 and 1934 and 35, although I think the 34 and 35 is combined. This is the Earl Averill with no team designation. So as you can see on the bottom there, right down here, it just says Earl Averill. There is another variation that is more than triple the population of what this one is, that has the team Cleveland down there. You'll, I say triple, but once I tell you what the pop of this is, you'll laugh. These were these are 3.5 and 3 3/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So they're more postcard style size, and they're the black and white sepia tone images. The images were primarily sourced from newspapers such as the Minneapolis Star and the St. Paul Dispatch, which gives you the area as to which these were from. And they were distributed via mail-in promotion. So customers would exchange cigar bands from Warch products for the cards. Anything, throughout the years, we've seen multiple mail-in promotions, and anything that is mail-in typically ends up being much stronger condition in the long haul, because it's not put in cigarette packs or gum packs where the it has stains and people were pulling them straight out and just throwing them to the side so they could smoke tobacco or chew gum. So that's why these are in such good condition. This is a PSA 2, although the eye appeal on it is, to me, much stronger than the PSA 2. To be fair, I don't know what the back looks like because I've never pulled it out of this. But the when I purchased this, it did come with the envelope that these were sent in. So you can see there, and I'm blurring out the address there so that doesn't go around. So, anyways, that is the overall breakdown of the set. The total population for the set: PSA 456 graded, SGC 291 graded, Beckett 1 graded, and CGC 0 graded. So that is a total of 755 total 1933 Warch cigars graded. The Earl Averill is much more rare. So the Cleveland team designation one, and I'm just going based off saying this based off memory when I was looking at it earlier. I think there was like 6 graded by PSA. For the no team designation, there is 1 graded by SGC and 2 graded by PSA. So with 2 PSA and 1 SGC, there is a total pop of 3. And like I said, the Cleveland variation is about 3 times that, because the PSA number was 6. I'm pretty sure the SGC number was a few. So, this is a very, very scarce issue. And I recently purchased this, partly with this series in mind. But the other reason was I got another one of these that will probably end up on a future episode for a different Hall of Famer from the same seller. So, anyways, the 1933 Warch cigar set is, I think, one of the more underrated sets. Obviously, with it being so rare, it's not going to have the popularity that 1933 Goudey does. But when you're talking 3 total examples of that card versus 939 for the 1933 Goudey, I give me the Warch cigar over the 1933 Goudey as my preference. So, and that's essentially the premise of this series.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love it. I think that's a fantastic choice. I love the Warch set too. So that's
the images on them are so strong. I mean, there's not many sets from that era that give you this prominent of, especially the 30s, because everything started to go with, this size.
Yeah.
And there's not too many images from the 30s that has this amount of eye appeal to it. Goudey did produce, some of those wide pen premiums and stuff like that. I would still take this image over the vast majority of the wide pens. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Warch cigars. As you know, as I mentioned, they are rare. So if you are interested in purchasing some, expect to pay a bit of a premium on them, and expect to be patient to wait for the right copy. But they are out there, and your M101 4 and 5 Mordecai's, my 1933 Warch cigars, are indeed more rare than the T206 Hannes Wagner.
Absolutely.
So, anything else you wanted to add for the first episode?
No, I hope this is, I hope there's folks watching this that just think like this is exactly how I collect, and I have card X that popped in my mind, and I would love to share that, because that's, a little bit of research, a little bit of background, tell us a little bit about, the set and what it is, and give us some history, some background. But yeah, it's about having fun and sharing some amazing stuff. To me, that's always the biggest highlight when I see a comment that just says like, that's new to me. Like that's a win. That means somebody got some value out of it that was, totally card based, and that's what it's all about in the hobby. So
agreed. At the card shop that I work at, we have a cabinet now that is fully dedicated to pre-war and vintage, and it's right by the register. The amount of people that are checking out buying modern that just take a peek and say, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen one of," and it's just T205s, and it's the common stuff right now. They say, "I've never seen stuff like this," and part of the goal for, I think, you and I is to showcase that the pre-war stuff, it's not as rare as people think, and you can certainly get more rare. It becomes as rare as you want, essentially, and it's all about just being exposed to it and diving in, doing the research, like you said. So, and the cool thing is, the M101s, we talked about how they were distributed and, how the backs came about. The Warch cigars were mail-in promos with the bands. You learn about how the hobby has evolved over the years. Nowadays it's go to the store, you buy a pack, you open the pack, there's 10 cards, that's it. Back in the day, cards were legitimate marketing strategies for all sorts of products throughout the country and throughout the world even. So it's seeing how Warch cigars were distributed, and how M101s, rare sets that you might not have thought about or known about, adds to the history of the hobby. So
absolutely, yeah. The story of how it came to be and how it survived is that much greater. So
agreed.
Absolutely
agreed. Well, that is it for episode 1. We will have a guest on for the next episode. As I mentioned in my last video that talked about my series coming out, we will be doing this the first week of every month, barring life, circumstances. Aaron, I don't think you have quite the home life with the 3 little ones. So, but life certainly can come up. So our goal is the first week of every month, and hopefully people tune in, look forward to it. But really excited to do this series with you. Very much appreciate your willingness to take the time out of your day to film this going forward every month.
I love it. I think your idea was brilliant, so I'm glad I can jump in here and enjoy the ride with you.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. As I always finish off with, live free and dream big.